Hi, and welcome to the Health for Life podcast for those who want to build strong trucks and strong bodies. This is Kevin Muniz and Maya Hickman, your wellness team, bringing you practical tips and tricks to improve your health. Now, today's topic is on eating well, and our coach Maya is also a registered dietitian. So, as an RD, if you have to give folks one general advice on eating well, what would that be?
So, as hard as it may be to answer any nutritional related question with in general terms, I will quote one of my favorite nutrition authors, Michael Pollan, here, and he said something which is profoundly true and yet so simple. He said, "Eat food, not too much, mostly plains." So, now to briefly unpack this statement, what he means to say is eat real versus highly processed junk food. Watch your portion size, so do not overeat, eat mindfully, and eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. So kind of simple.
Yeah. So I like to use the My Plate as an easy reference guide for healthy eating. I fill half my plate with vegetables and then another quarter of that plate with like lean proteins and another quarter with like a healthy starch. Which brings me to the next thing. Can you give us examples of what a lean protein would be and then like what a healthy starch would be?
Of course, so good sources of lean proteins are fish, chicken, turkey, but also plant sources. Let's not forget those, such as beans, lentils, tofu, for those of us that like tofu. When we say healthy or good starches, we typically refer to whole grains. Although white rice is actually fine, as well as because it's gluten free and it is very easy to digest. I also like baked potatoes. On occasion, of course, I'd be careful with the portion size. Those can be huge, as you all know, and of course, how much butter you put on there as well.
So this brings us to another like burning nutrition question is I feel like a lot of us have this confusion about fat. Um, so does eating fat make us fat? Is what's the difference between good fat and bad fat, and why is dietary fat important?
Kevin, this is one of my favorite nutrition myths to bust. So thanks for asking this and bringing it up. Not all fat is created equal. We actually need healthy fats in our diet for our cells, our brain, and hormonal health, and so much more. Some good sources of healthy fats are nuts, seeds like walnuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, olive oil, avocado oil, and we should include these foods in our diets daily. Fats we should limit are trans fats, and they are found in highly processed and fried foods, and also saturated fats. That's all kind of animal fat, anything that's get kind of solid on room temperature, butter. Too many calories, regardless of source, can turn into fat, to answer your other question. However, with that being said, it is actually sugar, not the fat, that is primary cause of weight gain.
Oh, so this brings me to my favorite nutrition myth, and so many people follow like a low carb diet and think that carbs are bad for you. However, not all carbs are the same. So like added sugars and like candies and cakes and other processed carbs can be problematic if they are consumed in excess. But carbs from like fruits and vegetables and whole grains like beans, legumes, stuff like that, they provide energy and essential nutrition, and the fiber content in there is great. Um, and I think that they're necessary to be balanced in our eating.
Absolutely. And thanks for covering the carbs myth. It's another one of my favorites. I hear so many questions about it as well.
So we all know that we should eat healthy and we talk about what that should look like. But before we move on, can you tell us some more of the benefits of a healthy and balanced diet?
Sure, a healthy eating pattern is linked to improved long-term health and can prevent chronic conditions such as heart disease, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, osteoarthritis, even some cancers. So benefits of healthy eating do not end here though. A balanced diet, which is rich in vitamins and minerals, a bunch of other nutrients, can also help improve our mood and sleep, improve digestion, and boost creativity and productivity. So a lot of wonderful benefits.
Wow. So in other words, eating healthy truly is a necessity for good, healthy, and longevity. So it's not just a luxury. But however, with that being said, we all have been dealing with like the raising cost of food, and eating healthy can kind of feel like a luxury that we just can't afford. So can you give us some tips on how to eat healthy on a budget?
I absolutely agree. I feel I have been living my entire paycheck at Kroger these days. Food has become very expensive. However, there are a few tips I can share to lower the cost of the grocery store bill, but and still eat healthy. One of the things we can do is buy frozen fruits and vegetables instead of fresh. They're cheaper and they will last longer, so they won't go bad in your fridge. You don't feel bad about wasting your money. Another thing we can do is replacing some of the meat-based meals with plant-based proteins, such as beans or lentils. They're way cheaper, they last longer, they're high in fiber and they're low in fat. So all in all, they are good for you, they're heart healthy and cheaper. Another thing we can do is just buy generic food, buy generic brands. You don't have to buy, fancy brands. Store brands are fine. Also, you can plan your meals and always shop with a list. One thing I always say to my clients, never go shopping hungry. Always go with a list.
Mhm.
And use coupons. Another simple little tip there.
Oh, that sounds that sounds wonderful. Thank you. So those are some excellent money saving tips there, and I'm going to start using these myself as well. So talking about planning in advance, we all like to eat out on occasion, so it could be challenging to make good food choices while we're out.
This is very true. I like to look at the menu online and decide what I'm going to eat before I go. Do you have any additional tips for us, Kevin?
Yeah, and like I talked about this earlier, the I like to follow the healthy plate as my guide. Um, so I'm gonna fill my plate with, like half of it non-starchy vegetables, a quarter of it with that lean protein, a quarter of it with that starchy side. I most of the time ask to substitute like my side instead of fries to get like a side salad or like a whole grain non-starchy carb. And I always try to get my dressing on the side. That way you just dip your fork into the dressing and then you get an equal amount of dressing for every single bite you're taking. And you're not just loaded right there in the front with all of your ranch. um, uh, some of the meals, how they're prepared, also matters. So choosing like a grilled or a baked versus a fried is going to be a better choice. And of course, the sugary drinks are an easy way to add in empty calories. So I typically go for like an unsweetened tea or a water.
Those are great suggestions. As someone who did not grow up in the US, I'm still amazed at how huge the restaurant portions are. So another tip is to maybe share the entree with, your significant other, or maybe pack half of it for and save it for lunch the next day, which is also a money saving tip.
Yeah. So we talked about all the different ways that we could eat healthier, but what if I'm the only person in my family that wants to stick with this healthy eating plan? Does that mean I would have to cook like a whole separate meal just for myself? I mean, that sounds super expensive and time consuming to cook multiple meals just for the same family. Do you have any tips for
Mhm.
this?
Of course, it is easier when you can get the entire family to join in and share your healthy eating habits. However, we all know that is not always possible, especially for those of us that have kids or picky eaters, and that gets everybody in trouble if you put on a table something that will not eat. So I'm happy to share with everyone what I have found works for me.
Yeah, yeah, please share.
All right. So I stopped making those mixed meals like casseroles, pastas with everything on it. I stopped doing that a while ago. So instead, what I do, I cook everything separately. So I make sure to have a source of good protein, like chicken, fish, steak, pork, whatever is the meat of the day. And I will cook some vegetables. During the summer, it's typically some kind of salad. And then maybe when it's cooler outside, I'll do some sauteed or baked veggies. And then I will add some kind of, mac and cheese or fries or baked potatoes or pasta for the kids. So in other words, I plan my meals in food groups. I have my protein, my veggies, and my starches. And then everyone can make their own plate based on their own preferences and needs. Is that helpful?
No, that is a that is a really cool fun, helpful idea. It's just, here's the food, here's the options. They're all going to be a healthy pick. So just make sure you fill your plate the right way. I like that.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. I want to thank everyone for listening in. And as always, for more information on tips and healthy eating, exercise, wellness, feel free to reach out to us at
Maya.Hickman at premisehealth.com.
or at kevin.muniz@consultant.volvo.com. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye, everybody.